There's this moment that no one talks about when you've built the life that you were supposed to build, that was supposed to make you happy, and everything's going along okay, but there's this little voice whispering in your head, this isn't it. If you've been ignoring that voice, this video is for you. One of the first times this happened to me, I had just graduated with a music education degree. I'd worked really hard, planned out my future, and I'd even lined up some band directing jobs. Everything seemed to be perfectly in place. But when it came time to actually step into that life, something didn't feel right. And it wasn't anything dramatic. It's not like anything outward happened that was like this huge sign that, no, you can't go this way. It wasn't like that at all. Actually, the opposite was kind of true. I was getting all these signs, job openings, graduated with honors. It was like everything, here's the road open for you that you planned to take. And it's all looking really rosy. But still, there was like this hesitation inside me, and I was surprised at that. I was just kind of sitting in this limbo place, not ready to step into this whole path that I had planned for myself, but not having any idea what I should be doing instead. So as luck would have it, or maybe it was more than luck, because of a few unexpected changes in my life, I moved to a different state. I didn't take any of the jobs that I had lined up because they were in the state that I left behind. And so this move gave me time to think, to just look at where this life that I had planned was taking me, and to be sure that's where I wanted to go. Maybe you're feeling that too. Maybe there have been some coincidences or some surprise happenings in your life that have come in just at this time that you're starting to question things. So I had this time to breathe, and during that time, it was really weird. The writing bug bit me. All of a sudden, out of the blue, comes this desire to write stories, and I immediately started doing it. But at the time, I didn't think I was changing careers. I wasn't making some bold declaration that now I'm going to be a writer. I just had a little time, and I just quietly started writing. I was wondering if I was being self-indulgent. Maybe I was wasting time, chasing nothing. I knew nothing about being a writer, publishing books. But now, over 30 years later, looking back, I can see exactly what was happening. I was following the signs that my life was giving me. And that's what I talk about here on the Next Story Project. Learning to catch, track, and test the signs that our lives are giving us all the time. Because when we do, then we know exactly what to do next. I didn't know it at the time, but I was following the signs. I just wasn't recognizing them yet. So that moment when I grabbed that word processor and went home and started writing, it didn't make sense to me until years later. But now I understand those little nudges and those little things that I felt compelled to do and that I actually took action on, those were how life was showing me the next chapter I needed to write. Because what happened was, after 3 years of just writing on my own, I got a job as a copywriter with a local corporation, and that launched me into a whole new career of being a writer, which I have been to this day. Even now when I look back at it, I think it kind of blows my mind, because at the time, I was just confused about this life that I'd set up for myself. And I was feeling these little nudges to try something else. And I thought I was just, trying something else that was fun when I had a little time to do so. But that wasn't it at all. I was following life's little signs and taking action based on those signs. And that led me to an entirely different career, which ended up creating an entirely different life for me than I might have had I not paid attention to those signs, had I not taken action based on what they were showing me. And to me, when I look back on that, it just feels miraculous because I'm now a published author. I've written and published 10 award-winning books. I've worked for clients as a freelance writer for over 25 years. This has been my life. I've been able to work for myself. I have my own business. All of the things that would have never happened had I just stuck with that original plan I had to be an educator in the public schools. This tells me that being able to see these little signs that life is giving us and being able to figure out what they're trying to tell us so that we know what to do next is huge in our lives. This isn't just some little fun, intuition practice or woo-woo thing. This is real and it's practical. And I've gone through similar transitions multiple times, too many times to ignore that when we pay attention to these little signals that our life is giving us, then we move into a place that more closely fits who we know we are inside. So how do you know if this is going on in your life right now? Here are 3 of the most common signs I've seen in my own life and in others that I've worked with. You feel restless, but you can't explain why. You feel like you've outgrown something, or maybe you just feel like something's off, but you haven't named it yet because you don't really know what it is. There's no real problem that you can point to. Probably your job and your family life and everything is going along pretty normally, but inside yourself, something is agitated. It's kind of like you're fidgeting in your own life, like you're wearing clothes that don't quite fit anymore. So that's the first sign that you may be in this same place and that your life is asking for a change. Sign number 2, you start resenting things that used to feel fine. So it might be your job, it might be your normal routines, it might even be relationships that you've once relied on. You might notice these resentments popping up, and you might not even be acting on them. You might not be saying anything. You're just feeling it. And it's not like you're still not going about your routine. You're just feeling like you don't really like it. Or maybe if somebody asks you to do something extra at your work, you're like, man, it's just this instant reaction of resentment, like a growing friction inside you between you and some part of your life. It's like you're pretending to be okay when things aren't really okay. That's the second sign. Sign number 3, you may be feeling drawn to something else, but you can't see the full picture right now. So maybe it's a project, a passion project you've been thinking about. Maybe it's a new place, somewhere you're wishing you could be instead of where you are now. Maybe it's a new idea that won't leave you alone. I mean, we all have ideas now and then, but this is one that keeps coming back and kind of keeps knocking at the door. And you don't know where any of this might lead. You probably haven't even really thought about it. Probably this is a part of yourself that you just keep brushing off. But maybe it keeps whispering to you something like, what if you did this? Or what about this? And, I know you've been thinking about this. And for me, it was the writing, as an example. It was just something that I was pulled to do. This is sign 3. Something else is calling you toward it. So those are just 3 of the signs that your life is kind of asking for a change. So if part of you knows that this life you're in doesn't quite fit you anymore, I would ask that you not brush that off. Instead, you're going to start tracking it. Let me show you how. 2 simple practices can shift how you move through this potential transition, especially if you recognized all 3 of these signs. You're like, yep, that's me. The first thing that I'm hoping you'll do is to journal about the experience. If you're someone who enjoys journaling, then you're going to be, oh yeah, no problem, I journal all the time. If you're not someone who enjoys journaling, then give me a minute here to say why this is so important. I wish that I had done this when this was going on for me, because instead I just kind of went through it, and then this whole monumental change occurred in my life, and I didn't keep track of any of it. And the drawback of that was the next time that my life said, we need to change, I was stuck in not knowing again. I felt like my life was turned upside down again. It was a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Had I kept track of that first change, then I would have had more tools at my disposal to be able to manage the second one. So the first thing I would ask you to do is to keep a journal. And this isn't just, for your future self 10 years down the road. This is so that you can start tracking everything that's going on, because it's amazing when you start writing about it and you start keeping track of how you feel, what's going on, what doesn't feel right about your life right now, maybe what you are feeling drawn toward. You get it down in black and white, either on a notebook or in a file on your computer. Suddenly the whole thing becomes more real. Instead of just this, kind of fly buzzing around the side of your head, you start to see in concrete terms what's really going on. Your life is actually leaving you little breadcrumbs that help you to understand where you need to go next. But if you're not keeping track of those breadcrumbs, then you're never going to find that path. Just grab a notebook or open a doc and begin with questions like this. What part of my life doesn't feel like it fits anymore? Answer that question first. Here's the next question. Where do I find myself going quiet, pretending like everything's fine when it doesn't feel fine? And the third question is this one. What keeps pulling at me, even if I don't understand it yet? And we'll go much deeper into these kind of reflections and other things you can do in future videos. But for now, just start capturing what's showing up in your life. And everything is important. Everything that seems to be speaking to you in one way or the other. How you feel at work, how you feel in your relationships, how you feel in your current location. What's pulling at you? What do you feel compelled to do at the moment? What are you resenting? What are you maybe a little bit fed up with? All of it matters. So spend 10 minutes a night, 10 minutes in the morning, journaling about your feelings about these things. And then the second thing I'd invite you to try would be to start noticing the signals. Maybe you're someone who totally gets that. You frequently watch for signs in your life and you totally get that. But maybe you're someone who's like poo-pooing that whole thing. This channel's for you too. You don't have to believe in the woo-woo or any of that stuff to understand how this works, because this is real. Your life is definitely leaving you clues. You don't have to act on them yet, but just start paying attention. Some signals are loud, maybe. You get whiff in your job that you may be replaced soon. That's a loud signal. But some signals are more subtle than that. Maybe you're just starting to resent every Monday because you don't want to go to work anymore. These little signals are showing up all the time. The problem is we usually don't pay attention to them. If you're journaling every night or every other night, start asking yourself if you noticed any signals that day. Was there anything your life was trying to tell you, or anything that your intuition was trying to tell you? These little things happen around the edges of our lives, and we tend to ignore them if we're not watching for them. So I'm asking you to watch for them for the next week. And they're not going to make sense to you right away, most likely. But if you start tracking them in your journal, you're going to start getting some inclination of where they're pointing you to. Now, you don't have to have all the answers right away. Just start tracking them for now, because you might be surprised at what you find out, even just with that small step. So if you're ready to go deeper with this and to start making sense of what your life is trying to tell you, I've created something to help. Inside, you'll find 7 signs that often show up when your life is asking you to shift. This guide will help you start spotting the clues your life is already leaving you. You can download it for free below. Thanks for being here. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe, and share it with a friend if you think they might like it. I'm looking forward to creating more videos like this for the Next Story Project. You can check out what this is all about at thenextstoryproject.com. I have so much planned for you here. I can't wait to reveal all of it. So just remember that your life is plotting something. You might as well start eavesdropping. I'll see you next time.